Hazard control, in this element, this is where we're formulating and prescribing engineering or administrative controls, and that goes back to the hierarchy of controls, which as a safety professional is fundamental in how you are supposed to be interpreting and making decisions, interpreting hazards and making decisions. So engineering controls and administrative controls are well in advance of personal protective equipment, right? So are you familiar with what engineering controls should be used? I just had a discussion this morning with another safety professional talking about the respirable crystalline silica standard. And the discussion started off with talking about, well, the worker was outside and they're using table 1, so they don't have to wear a respirator because they're chipping concrete, and it's less than 4 hours. And I said, yes, but you're missing the key factor that's required in table 1, which is the engineering control. And that's the administration of an integrated water control system, or the use of a shrouded tool with a HEPA vacuum system, right? Those are engineering controls. So as a safety professional, I need to be able to know what those are and recognize those and carry them out in the right order of precedence. Developing methods to integrate safety performance into the organizational and management systems and processes and operations. This is huge. This is that safety management system. But this is also looking at, I'm going to say, our competent persons and using that as a methodology, and looking back and stepping back at looking at your organization and saying, what are our core processes that we have in this business? I mentioned a couple of them earlier. It could be marketing, it could be procurement, it could be accounting, human resources, our product development, our product performance, and how we handle that, issuing that out, right? There's, most companies have 10 core key processes. And how does your safety program, I'll call it right now, how does your safety program integrate and interface with each of those? Are those people aware of it? Are you aware of it? And what's your strategy to integrate safety into those elements, okay? And then, so that's your policies and procedures for integration into operations. Have you mapped those out? And, really you understand the workflow and how your company does business. I think one of the biggest things we see with organizations who are struggling with the safety program is that they haven't matched up the program to how the company does business. And really, there's a simple way to do that, is to go out and perform what's called a gap analysis. And that gap analysis is comparing how we want or believe work should be done versus the reality of how it's being done, and then determining, well, why is there a gap and what's the difference, and how can we work our system within the norms of the culture of how this company does their job, right? That's what makes us unique and different, how we do our business, our culture. So really important to develop your policies and procedures to integrate into your operational management system, integrate your safety management system into your operational management system. Our other role under hazard controls is to consult and advise in planning, designing, systems development, and operations to maximize, I call it safe production, okay? And so I remember one of the things I thought was super innovative a really long time ago, working in an organization, was I actually got to give input in the estimating process, and even got the opportunity to review contracts to say, are there any safety issues that could pop up here that that I see that could be an issue for the entire organization, right? And we actually have a free course coming up in a couple weeks on estimating safety, that we're going to talk about what are the things our estimating department should do or could do to integrate with safety, capture some of these issues at the estimating stage, and to help us avoid unnecessary loss, right? So the next element under hazard control are advising and assisting human resources when applying hazard analysis results, or dealing with capabilities and limitations of personnel. And some of this starts to interface with maybe the American with Disabilities Act or EEOC laws and requirements. We have to be really careful what information we ask and share, but we should be, as the safety professional, working closely with human resources to say that, you know, here's some of the roles and responsibilities of this position, and you know, how can we apply, these are the hazards that they could be exposed to. I'm going to go so far as to even say these are the learning objectives or core competencies this position should have to be able to work safely, and really interfacing at the point where we're hiring people or where we're evaluating some of the tradespersons when we have a bargaining agreement, collective bargaining agreement, and even working with those organizations to say, here's some trends and you know, some learning elements that maybe they could help implement into their programs for training, for apprenticeships, or when we receive someone from those programs, knowing that we have typical trends that go with that particular trade or position, and what is our strategy to counter that. We can't always just say, oh, well, we have no control over that. That's not acceptable. What innovative way can we move the needle in a different direction to counter some of the negative trends that could exist, okay? And then, very important, we need to stay current with technology, laws, regulations, standards, codes, products, methods, practices, everything else related to hazard control. We've got to know what's available out there, how it can be used, what the use and limitations are, so that we can actually make good recommendations and good evaluation of our defenses, right? Our hazard controls that our company could use, or our project, or our crew, or our teams, however you want to break it up. Okay, so staying current. I heard this saying a long time ago, I think it was in the Army when I first heard it, and they said, leaders are readers, you know, and I thought, oh, I want to be a leader. So what does that mean? So it means we're constantly looking, learning, researching, understanding. I just had a meeting with a group this morning talking about some of the COVID things and helping give them some assistance in how they're going to prepare to reopen their business. And I said, you know, we've been doing some free outreaches on COVID training, which, by the way, you can get on our website on our COVID tab, and keeping our website up to date. But I said, you know, before I send you over any more information, I'm going to go back and see if anything's changed since yesterday, because it's such a rapidly evolving issue. And it's almost the same way with other subjects, really, safety and health. It doesn't matter what's new out there. What are the other standards besides just the OSHA regulation? What are the letters of interpretation, and how do those apply? What are the ANSI standards? What are some white paper and research, and what are some things that some technical groups or other subject matter experts are talking about that could add different perspective or a different opportunity for me to deal with this issue or trend in a different way, okay? Or maybe even reinforce that, yep, you're on track and you're doing things right.